Peace. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Friday, folks. We got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about a new ad campaign from the Biden-Harris administration, where they're touting their progressive policies to empower HBCUs, talking about billions more for HBCUs. I'll share with you just a little bit about that. Also, we're going to have a conversation about the fight for every black vote, how black voters across this country, not just dealing with the Israel-Hamas conflict, but just in general are feeling less enthusiastic about going to the polls for the Democrats. I'm based on a new CNN report. We'll talk a little bit about that. And later on, we check in with Culture Crew member Corinna Denise to talk about should we encourage TV and film in real life, as there's another controversy of including school shootings in the hit show Abbott Elementary, and what the writer and creator of the show, Quentin Bronson, had to say about it. Stay with us. This is all happening in today's edition of The Culture on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, the day that we have all been waiting for, folks. That's right. Happy Friday. And thank you again for tuning in. First and foremost, we're streaming on our home website at blackstarnetwork.com. Please make sure you do your due diligence to download the app, follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And of course, we're looking for your financial support to empower this movement that we are embarked upon. Also, we are streaming live on Amazon News on your Fire TV. We're also streaming on Amazon Prime Video, where you can find us there, as well as take a look at Prime Video app under Live TV The News, or you can find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video Live TV The News. And we're also on Freevee, where you can find us on now under News, as well as Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So big shout out to all of our partners there. All right, folks, for my online culture crew, we are streaming live right now on Roland Martin's YouTube page. So make sure you join us in the conversation as we're streaming there and being part of the illustrious, dynamic culture crew. Big shout out to the culture crew. I see y'all checking in from all around the country. So thank you so much for doing so. There we go. Little Friday something for you. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about the president and the vice president, how they are pushing the word out, as we have all been talking about, that one of the challenges of this administration has simply been to tout what the administration is doing to support Black America. And well, they are putting that into action with their new ad campaign, billions more for HBCUs. This is a new ad that they're going to start running, where they are talking about the amount of money that they have invested in making sure that HBCUs continue to be sustained. The new ad titled Possibilities, which was released today, it celebrates the White House's historic $7 billion for HBCUs, folks. $7 billion with a B. $1 billion with HBCUs. Here's how it all breaks down in terms of those key investments for our HBCUs. $3.6 billion for campus improvements, $1.7 billion for educational grants, and $1.6 billion for student debt relief. Now, at the end of this particular campaign ad, it ends with the tagline, "Billions more for HBCUs, endless possibilities." Vice President Kamala Harris, said in an exclusive interview with the Griot that she said, quote, "When I think of America's HBCUs, I think of possibilities." Talking about her time at Howard University, she said, as an HBCU alum, "I couldn't be more proud of the work President Biden are doing for HBCUs, because I know firsthand the extraordinary role that these institutions play in preparing young Black Americans for success." Now, this particular ad campaign, folks, is part of the Biden-Harris's Camp 16-week, $25 million advertising campaign that's targeting key Black voters in battleground states. And so it was supposed to be released as part of the homecoming season. But this weekend, There are students from North Carolina Central University and North Carolina A&T State University. They're going to be holding those homecoming festivities. So that's when this particular ad will be dropping. But it speaks volumes, folks, about how the White House may be listening to us. They may actually be listening to us, folks, and say, look, you got to talk about the good things that you're doing, the historic things that you're doing for the HBCU community. So it's going to be interesting how folks respond, how folks react to this. But if you see this ad campaign, just know that you heard about it here on the Culture and on the Black Star Network. But I think this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Talk about your successes, talk about the victories, talk about your wins. And then you'll see some people feeling a little bit differently. So $7 billion for HBCUs. And that's a lot. That's a nice chunk of change. And I'm happy to see them touting it very quickly. Joy Sutherland checking in on as part of the online culture crew today. You said, Joy, good investment. I have a senior who is deciding between HBCU and a Division I school. Look, the fact is that there are going to be some students that are going to choose, or they have choices between HBCUs and PWIs, predominantly white institutions. And if a child chooses to be at a PWI, that's okay. That's okay. Everybody is not going to choose the HBCUs. And I think that we shouldn't make a huge conversation to it about, oh, you're not going to HBCU, therefore you aren't black enough. That's what some people would kind of allude to. They won't say it, but they'll kind of allude to it. But it's up to students' choice. HBCUs play a huge part in the growth and development of the people and certainly of our culture, but so does PWI. So it's something that we just have to respect. Now, there's some of you, conscious thought, I'm seeing your take on this. You said pandering. Woo. Pandering will not get the youth vote. Ages range 18 to 30 out for Biden and Harris among black voters. Both Biden and Harris need to speak to black media. Now, come on. Love it, conscious thought. Welcome to, and good to connect with you once again, big bro. Yeah, I agree with you more. Black folks need to, the president and the vice president should be on in black spaces, talking to black folks, constantly having these conversations. I don't know if it's pandering. Maybe if you're touting something that you are actually doing, if it's pandering, especially when the cry is conscious thought that you're not speaking up enough about your successes, not doing enough to communicate the good things that you are doing. So I'm not sure if it's pandering, but I don't know if it's about getting the young black vote out. We talked about that yesterday, or it's just simply about saying, look, this is what I am doing. This is what I am doing. Look, here's the thing very quickly, and then we want to take a quick pause. The thing is, this is like a 60-40 thing. This is how I frame it. Y'all can frame it. You might disagree with me on this, but I feel like this is like a 60-40 thing. Like 60% of the things you want your political leader to do, 40% of those things you may not agree with, right? I'm not asking you to be Jesus in the White House. I'm not asking for that. You know what I mean? I need you to do 60, about 60 to 7% of what you need. Then the other stuff, I know I can't rock with you on that. So it's going to be something. Pastor Damon Blissett, my brother who is in charge of the block church for the crew, you checked in and said, show me the money. That famous line from the movie Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. Absolutely. Now, look, a lot of this is going to, and again, I'm going to go back to this and then we're going to take a quick pause. Let me just break this thing down for you again, folks. 3.6 for campus improvements. You're talking about infrastructure. You're talking about buildings. 1.7 billion for educational grants, right? And then 1.6 billion for student debt relief. Is that a good way to spend that money, Pastor Damon? You think they spending the money well on that one? I think so. I think so. I think it's now there might be you might need more money for certain programs, but I'm just looking at the big picture of it all. You're talking about infrastructure, the physical buildings. You're talking about those grants, making sure that those students have an opportunity to take advantage of either being at school or being a part of certain programs. And then you're also talking about student debt relief, something to shave off of the debt. So I'm not upset about this right here. One thing that did come to my mind is the security piece. considering that rash of violence, Pastor Damien, the rash of violence that we've been seeing at our HBCUs. So I'm not sure if that's going to kind of be lumped into that initial of improvements, whether it's talking about building improvements and security improvements, but we will have to see. Cindy, you posted something that I think is pretty interesting. You said Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, needs to come on with you, Farajii. You should give her some great exposure. I would talk to her. Look, I'm not afraid to talk to nobody now. We can have a conversation, and even when we disagree, guess what's going to happen, y'all? We're going to have to find a way to come to some compromise or to some understanding. But I would love to have the vice president come on. Appreciate that. Putting that out there in the universe very quickly, Cindy. Carolyn Harrison, my sister, thank you for joining us again in the chat. You said, I hope we're able to make these showcases for excellence. We've always created great results. This will definitely help. Thanks, Biden-Harris administration. Absolutely. 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 Janelle, my sister, you say no matter what Biden-Harris do for the black community, it won't be seen as enough. But I consider the alternative and know that others should do the same. By the way, who here has answered the survey? Great question. But you're right. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Because you know what, Janelle, and I think you would agree with me. We have so much on the table that we can't think small. We can't talk about these little bits and pieces here and little bits and pieces there. If you're talking about bringing Black America to a place of equity, if you're talking about bringing Black America to a place where we feel like movement is happening, progress is being made, you're going to need to invest some real money, put some real resources in helping to empower and rebuild Black America. We've taken so many hits over these years, not just from COVID, but from systemic racism, from all types of sexism, from white supremacy. I mean, we just taking hit after hit. HBCUs just taking hit because they have lack of funding from states across this country. Taking so many hits, there needs to be some investments and some resources behind that word. So I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. All right, look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's shift the gears a little bit. I want to talk about this situation here around the fight for Black votes. Now, check this out, y'all. Today is November 3rd, Friday, November 3rd. Do you know that literally we are 1 year and 2 days away from the national election? The national election is November 5th, 2024. So I was thinking to myself, where are we, right? Like, what's the litmus test? What's the temperature right now of where we are? 1 year from today, or 1 year and 2 days from today, folks. So let's say by Sunday, 1 year from Sunday, we're going to be at the polls. Some of us are going to probably vote earlier than that, right? Than the actual day. But we'll be going to the polls in 1 year to choose the president again. Can you believe that? So I want to have this conversation. So stay with us. We're going to have that discussion about it's not enough how some Black voters in the state of Wisconsin is saying President Biden, Vice President Harris is not enough, and how they're going to need to fight for every Black vote. Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money make this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. I wanted to kind of kick off some stuff here on The Culture because we are a year and 2 days away from the national elections. I just want y'all to keep this in perspective and let this just soak into your brain. 1 year, 2 days, on November 5th, 2024. We'll be going back to the polls to choose the president and then working down the ballot once again in 1 year and 2 days. Can y'all walk with me on this? So we're in a very critical point, especially given the fact that people have already said that this particular election coming up in 2024, like this is the last one, but it might be one of the most consequential, especially given that the way the GOP is being set up right now, Trump is going to be the front runner. And the way the Democrat Party is set up right now, President Biden is going to be the front runner. We're looking at a Biden-Trump part 2. Now, how does that bode with black voters? CNN had gone to the battleground state of Wisconsin, and they spoke to some black folks who vote. I don't want y'all to think that these black folks don't vote. Black folks who vote, and with one organization that's doing its part to try to get black people out in the streets, to get more organized, to vote, and to get more involved in their communities. The organization is called Black Leaders Organizing for Communities in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So when they went there and they talked to black voters, and this is part of their project that they're looking to track the 2024 campaign. They're doing this through the eyes and experiences, according to them, of voters in key areas. And they found out that just spending a couple of days in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, black voters are not enthusiastic about going to the polls. And these are people who voted in the last election, in the previous election before that, in the previous election. These are black voters. Now, here's the nuance onto this conversation that I want us to have. Because when we do have these discussions, it's like we're victim blaming. I'm going to take a hard stance on this, y'all, because I know some of y'all are going to get mad at me. But it's like we're victim blaming. We get mad at the people who are affected instead of the people who perpetrated the violation. The same way we do when we talk about stuff that's happened to women, sexual assault, and we say, well, why didn't you get away? Why didn't you leave? Instead of asking the people who did the violation, why do you assault women? Why do you hurt women? Why do you hurt children? So I want to change up this tone of the conversation. I'm not asking why don't we vote. I'm asking the question, why aren't candidates speaking to what's important to us? Why aren't these candidates speaking to, some of us call it interest, I say that our values, we can say both. Why aren't they speaking to our interests and values? Why aren't they speaking to our interests and values? If you have black voters who are coming out each and every year, and then at this point they are feeling less enthusiastic, whose fault is that? I mean, come on, rock with me, y'all. Here's the situation in Wisconsin. Wisconsin swung from Donald Trump in 2016 to President Biden in 2020. And once again, we're looking at a situation between that may end up being Trump Biden once again. Trump won the state by just shy of 23,000 votes, and a drop in Milwaukee's black turnout was a major factor. Biden carried the state by just shy of 21,000 votes 4 years later, when better showings in Madison and the suburbs helped offset flat turnout in Milwaukee's black precincts. What's happening here in Milwaukee? And if you're from Milwaukee, from that area in the chat, let me know. Let me know. Wisconsin. Janelle, you said promises are nice, but the proof is in what has actually been done for our community using the real mechanisms of legislation. Biden, Harris still have work to do. Come on. Talk to me, y'all. Talk to me. This is the situation that we're currently looking at, y'all. This is the situation. When CNN run this piece, right, they asked this one sister, well, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the president, his administration? And this is a voter. She said she voted for him the first time she's been voting in elections for a long time. Scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate President Biden and Vice President Harris's administration in connection to the community and speaking to your interests and values? She said, I would give the president a 4. Why aren't candidates speaking to what's important to us? Right? HBCUs, that's important to us. Right? But we still got police issues. We still got healthcare issues. We still got all of these other things that are just out there. Why aren't they adjusting to us? Why do we have to beat ourselves up to try to fit into what they want us to fit into and say, yes, they're doing the right thing? I'm just asking some questions here. Y'all tell me if I'm going crazy or not. Let's talk about what's going on in the state of Milwaukee, and I want to hear what your take is on this, folks. Black voters in the state of Milwaukee said that they want to see more of President Biden and President Harris and Vice President Harris. When they asked one of the organizers, the canvassers in Milwaukee, what he was planning to do if there is another Biden-Trump election campaign. Here's a man that's empowering and telling people to come out into the communities and all of that, to get involved. The John King from CNN said, well, what do you plan to vote in that? He said, I don't know. Now he's working to empower the community. He said, I don't know. John King went to somebody else, to another black man, said, do you plan to vote? Is this an election that you think that you think you're gonna participate in? He said, a lot of my friends saying that they abstaining from the vote because they feel like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Why aren't candidates speaking to what's important to us? All right, let me just take a couple of takes on this, and then I want to hear. Then we got to take another quick pause. So, Janelle, you already said promises are nice, but the proof is when it's actually been done. The black political perspective, you said, stop talking about it when it comes to doing things for black people. Start showing action and cut the checks just as fast as they are cutting them for people that can't vote for them. The black political perspective, you said, stop talking about it when it comes to doing things for black people. Start showing action and cut the checks just as fast as they're cutting them for people that can't vote for them. That's major. That's major. There's a lot of emphasis put on places and people outside of us. But then when it comes to time, it's a lot of talk. It's a lot of, all right, we got to get we're getting more political. You know the process. Justice takes time. It's all that rhetoric. It's all that rhetoric. Why aren't candidates speaking to us, speaking to what's important to us? Thank you, Black Political Perspective. Look, I got to take another pause when we come forward. Want to get more of your take of this as we're talking about how one state, in the state of Milwaukee, in the state of Wisconsin, how Black voters aren't enthusiastic to turn out for the election that's going to be happening 1 year, 2 days from now in 2024. Again, this is not about Black voters not coming out, but this is about what are the candidates offering? What's their vision? What's their plan? How do they plan to get to speak what's important to us? Folks, we'll continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We're talking about a piece. We're talking about the overarching issue of speaking to the interest and the values of Black voters. And I'm using this piece that CNN did, this report that they did, where they talked to Black voters in the state of Wisconsin, in the city of Milwaukee, on the north side of the city of Milwaukee, a predominantly Black neighborhood, Black community, where they talk to Black voters, Black voters who have gone to the polls year out, time after time, but they are less enthusiastic going to the polls for Joe Biden and the Democrats come 2024 for this upcoming presidential election, which is 1 year and 2 days from now, folks. On Sunday, November the 5th, it will make it exactly 1 year until the national election for the president. It could be President Joe Biden or it could be someone else. But as many are already been saying, it looks like it's going to be a Trump Biden showdown part 2. Now, let me just share this with y'all really quickly. There was another point from this report that I thought was very interesting. The Biden campaign, this is from CNN, they had made the statement, they had put in their report, that the Biden campaign projected confidence it has a plan to mobilize black voters, though it takes conflicts in important ways from what we saw and heard on the ground. According to a campaign official, the team was building an organization that doesn't, quote, drop in on black voters, but puts in long-term investments to mobilize the community. The official pointed to outreach efforts, including a pilot program launched by the campaign and the Democratic National Committee this month in Wisconsin and Arizona, focused on outreach to key groups, including African Americans and Latinos. According to the DNC National Press Secretary, Serafina Chitika, she said in a statement that the president knows the power and importance of black voters. They were essential to his and Kamala Harris's victory in 2020. Democrats are committed to earning every vote from now until the general election, and we aren't taking a single community for granted. We're making early investments, including the earliest ever paid investment in black radio for a Democratic re-election effort to make sure voters know how President Biden has been delivering for them. So they're going to put some money, they say, in black radio. Let's include black digital spaces. Let's include black TV networks and TV shows, black podcasts. Let's put the whole gamut in there, DNC. Don't just say black radio. Don't just be like, all right, we're going to go on Tom Joyner, or we're going to go on this one couple of show, this very popular show. We're going to go on the Breakfast Club. No. Come to Black Star. Go to those spaces where, look, man, put the president in them places where he can fight for his record, where he has to defend his record with Black America. Put Vice President Harris in a place where she has to defend her record with Black America. That's not too hard to ask for. If you're doing it, you're doing it. It stands for itself. But if you ain't doing it, then it becomes hard. Here's the thing, though. There's a sister in Wisconsin by the name of Angela Lang. She is she runs the organization Black Leaders of the Community. She serves as the executive director at their headquarters in Milwaukee. She said on Wednesday, today is Friday, that she hasn't heard much from any Biden or DNC field organizer, but that a GOP organization recently had canvassers going door to door in black communities in Milwaukee. Just throwing this out there, y'all. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Brother Willie, you said, I'm finding this conversation kind of difficult. Those that are politically astute hear and see the Justice Department doing for black people, the educational sector doing for black people only so much. It's difficult. It is difficult. It is difficult, big brother, and I'm glad you brought that up. I saw Black Political Perspective. You said something that I think, Brother Willie, adds to the difficulty of the moment. Black Political Perspective, you said, do they not understand that black people are seeing all over the TV how fast they are moving when it comes to taking care of others, but when it comes to us, they have to have a study and a hearing and a bill. Ain't that the truth? We got to have a study. We got to have a hearing. We got to go through the process. We got to go through the bill. Some people get billions of dollars, man. Some people get their problems addressed. It feels that way. Now, it could not be. Perception can be reality in some cases, right? We can't act as if that perception is not justified because it feels that way. It didn't feel like it gone through that process, that black political perspective you bringing up of, let's have a study, let's create a commission and all of that process. Some stuff it feels like, man, that was kind of fast. But see what I'm saying, Brother Willie? Like you saying that it could be that adds to the difficulty. Hakuna Matata, you said a whole lot of homeless black people in the streets. What is their plan for homelessness? Nice to drop a reveal bomb about supporting HBCUs during homecoming season. It's vote bait. Yeah. Again, we have a lot of things cooking on the table, on the stove here, and got some stuff in the oven as well. You gotta hit it. The sister Angela Lang from Block in Milwaukee, she said the big thing that's affecting her community and based on her conversations is criminal justice reform, police brutality. That has yet still been fully addressed. Still been fully addressed. And I know that Policing Reform Act, that Police Brutality Act has to go through that process. But something has to be done. But she said that's important to her. I'm going back to the question I posed. Why aren't candidates speaking to what's important to us? Conscious Thought, you said, I don't know what the hell is he supposed to be doing. This is in response to McFact that says, in terms of talking about Jamie Harrison's town hall meeting, and when the sisters were hitting him on doing something for blacks, he walked out. So that's the situation with Jamie Harrison. But then you also, as Carolyn, you checked in and you said, please emphasize the House and Senate too. We can't forget that those in Congress have to step up and do something. But if your congressional leaders are weak, they're black, but they're weak. They're black, but they're not talking the way you need to. They don't have to be like the Justins down in Tennessee, but they got to say something. Y'all see what I'm getting at? So this is an ongoing thing that we're seeing. And as we are 1 year, 2 days out from the national election, we're going to continue to have these conversations. This is just the state of Milwaukee. There are states all across this country where black voters, I think, are becoming more and more dissatisfied and less enthusiastic about going to the polls. Again, I'm not trying to beat up on no black voter, especially when I know black people are going out to the polls. And it's not enough to say, all right, we got to get to the polls. I'm asking the question, folks, and we got to take a quick break. Why aren't candidates speaking to what's important to us? Whether it's talking about from the president all the way down to the ballot, whether it's talking about the vice president down the ballot, we got to ask that question. I'm not beating up on the people that's been impacted by, leadership that hasn't been listening to them. To your point, Big Brother Willie. But I'm asking the question at this point. I'm putting the onus. I'm putting the responsibility. I'm forcing some accountability to those. If you stand before black people, whether it's in your city, your respective town, or across this country, you stand before us and say you serious about our interests, our values. You serious about making sure that we are empowered and in a better position. You got to do something. A little here, a little there. Okay. We happy about some of those things. We okay. But there's got to be real money, real investment. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we shift gears, we're going to bring in my sister, Corinna Denise, as we talk a little bit about another issue that I've seen getting out of the politics space. Let's talk about seeing life on TV and film. This is based on an interview that the creator of Abbott Elementary, Quinta Bronson, has had about in writing a show about school shootings and why this might be problematic. So I'm asking the question, should we encourage TV and film to reflect real life as we have these discussions? So I'm going to talk to my sister Corinna Denise and, of course, with you to have that conversation on the other side. So stay with us. It's all happening on the second half of The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation as we are streaming on a number of different platforms, including our home platform of blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you download the app, follow us on social media, and, of course, give financially to support and empower this digital movement we are embarked upon. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. and enjoy all that you see. We're also streaming on Amazon News on your Fire TV, Amazon Prime Video, as well as there's the Prime Video information also on Freevee. You can find us there, as well as on Plex TV 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And we're also streaming on our social media platform, Facebook, and on Roland Martin's YouTube page. It is on our YouTube page that you can join us as part of the online culture crew to be a part of that conversation. I want to bring in my sister because I want to talk to her. Y'all don't understand how serious Corinna could really be. She's be in the backstage of the show. And when we have certain conversations, she literally, like, this is all computers and technology. She posts a message backstage like, "Tag me in, coach." So I'm going to tag my sister in, Corinna Denise, educational advocate. She's also a college advisor, and we're going to tag her in. And Corinna.
Happy Friday. Thank you for tagging me.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I know you got something to say. Because that's how the show was designed. It's designed to bring you in to say something. So I know you got something to say. All right, very quickly. I know that this, you said it in the chat. You said it even on backstage. This is stressful. This is, and you know what, to your point, it is absolutely stressful. I understand. I'm listening, and I'm trying to keep my ears to the ground, to the streets, as they say, on all of the dynamics at play. This is highly stressful. I'm not making light of it. I'm not acting as if it doesn't, has all these different complexities. On one side, you do have this voter apathy where a lot of our people, young people, just a lot of our people are just like not completely engaged, right? They probably the last election they probably voted in was in the election of Barack Obama or something, right? Yeah. So they're not fully engaged. But then you have another side of people who have been fully engaged, who've been not just voting in the presidential, they've been voting in the congressional. Hell, they voted for the PTA president. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been involved, but now they're losing enthusiasm of this moment. And I don't want to put it on the voters to say, hey, y'all need to get out the vote. I'm turning this cannon. I'm turning the cannon. I'm turning the bazooka on the people who are standing up before us and saying that they're going to do something for us, Corinna, and ask them the question, well, why aren't you speaking to what's important to us to encourage us, to make us enthusiastic about voting? That's what I'm looking at this point. What's your take?
Well, I understand all that, Farajii. To your point, what are you saying to make us enthusiastic about voting, right? But here's the important part. A lot of us don't know our history. A lot of us don't understand a lot of the events that have unfolded these past few years with the pandemic, with January 6th. There's still a lot of confusion. And to those voters who still have this, my goodness, they're considering withholding the vote. I want to ask them, what's informing your view? Where are you getting your facts? Because while the rhetoric is important, okay, so you need the desire, right? You have a desire. You want to hear the rhetoric. But are we looking for the actual legislation that has been passed? Now, Democrats, their messaging sucks. I've talked about it. You've talked about it. We've all talked about it. We all know that. We all understand that. However, have you taken the time to actually see what legislation is coming out of the legislative branch? A lot of it beneficial on the Democratic side, a lot of it extremely detrimental and harmful on the Republican side. And it pisses me off that people never acknowledge what is happening with the GOP. My God, did we not see January 6 people? Do we understand why?
I would disagree. I would disagree, and here's why. Corinna, because if we don't, I mean, look, a lot of, and I thought about this. It's so funny. I actually thought about this in preparing for today's show. Like, are we giving a balanced sense of coverage of the highs and the lows from both parties, right? And I think here, we try our best to talk about the GOP, but after a while, it does get to the point. It's like, all right, this is beating a dead horse. Let's talk about what's going on with the Democratic Party, right? To give people some insight, because I think it's important that we show people that both parties are in serious, disarray to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course, you don't have the Democrats like climbing up walls of the Capitol or, wanting to completely uproot democracy as the way we're seeing the GOP do it. But I think that level of, well, we're not them, is becoming this kind of motivation, or kind of giving them a pass on the things that they could be doing.
Oh no, absolutely no pass. I'm critical on both sides. I will acknowledge the good and I will acknowledge the bad. I'm going to acknowledge what you're stalling on, right? But we have to continue to push them. And it's very, oh my gosh, it's scary that people are willing to give up so easily, because the GOP has passed a lot of harmful legislation. So we have a decision to make. We can either decide to sit back and just to feel right, withhold our vote. But guess what, Farajii? There will still be an election. Someone will still be elected to office who's going to make decisions that will directly impact our lives. And we see a lot of legislation that has directly impacted our lives, right? And to sit here and say that the Dems have done nothing, and I'm not giving them a pass. There's more from them. Okay.
No, I wouldn't say that either. Say
they haven't done anything.
But you know what, though? Here's the thing.
To what they have done. I mean, do you want to go back to Jim Crow 2.0? I don't.
Nobody wants to go back to Jim Crow. And I don't think that it's fair to your point, it is not fair for us to say, oh, the Democrats haven't done anything. I think that when it comes down to it, when it's all said and done, people want to feel some change, some difference, some impact in their personal lives, right? That's the condition that's the space that we're in America. Like I could be living in a city that is stopping crime. I could be living in a city that's opening up new Black-owned businesses. I could be living in a city that is that's working on the police department. Mm-hmm. But if I come out there in that same city and I see trash in front of my doorway every day, or if I come out there in that same city and I hear about somebody getting robbed around my corner, my view is going to be tainted by what's in front of me.
That's true too, Farajii. But then I also want to raise questions just so that we can heighten our awareness, right? Politically, because it's important, because it ties into our everyday lives. Right. How involved are we civically? I'll give you an example. In my development where I live, there's an alligator lurking. I don't know where it came from. It just showed up and put on the alarm. But immediately, my neighbors were on it because we know our officials down at City Hall.
Right.
already put in a call, already about to be taken care of. So I say all that to say, how involved are you to know who is actually responsible for things that directly impact your life? And I get it. I get it. We need more from this party, but we have to understand 4 years is not enough. It's not uncommon for the incumbent to run for president. And to speak to someone's point in the online culture crew, forgive me, I don't remember who it was, mentioned how important the Senate and the House is. Because even if you were to change your candidate and ideally it was someone who was saying all the rhetoric that you want to hear, you got to give him the legislative branch who is responsible for passing the laws to get them to their desk so that the president can sign them into law, Farajii. And it's very concerning that I get it. We're tired, but would you rather be tired with the GOP passing even more egregious laws? A lot of these laws that we see in these state legislatures, they want to make it a national thing, okay, a federal thing. I'll just tell folks, you know what? Google Project 2025 and see if you really want to sit back at the polls on election day. Because yes, every year is important. And if we don't continue to push them and stay on them, then how are we going to see any change or progress? We need to get involved in the process. And my goodness, I heard you mention like we're literally a year away and we have so much work to do. It's so unfortunate that we got to go so much out of our way to get people on board. And it just seems like with the GOP, it's effortless. They can just put all these lies into the atmosphere. Their people are stuck in their feelings and they're white.
I'm just letting you know, Corinna, I'm telling you, they're having problems. They're having problems too, right? The whole voter, this element of our democracy is struggling right now. People are tired of the bullshit. They're tired of the partisan ways. They're tired of the divisive rhetoric. They're just tired of the poor examples of political leadership that's standing before us. They're tired. Look, the dude Santos, who was about to get expelled, he hasn't been expelled, right? Because there are a number of mitigating factors around that. This guy comes out and literally says, Corinna, I'm going to run for re-election. You got a federal fraud. You got a federal fraud case pending. You got your colleagues in New York State that don't want you there. And you got everybody knows you are a pathological liar. And in your head, you still come to the decision, I think this is best for my constituents in New York, and I'm going to run for re-election. That's the point. This is supposed to be a checks and balance system. And guess what? When you don't have those checks and balances, guess who loses out in that process? The American people, the constituents. So we have a checks and balance system that don't check.
Every 2 years, they can vote him out. I'm tired of
but check this out. You shouldn't have to wait 2 years. You shouldn't have to wait 2 years. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to wait. If you know somebody's a pathological liar, you shouldn't.
When we vote our numbers and we put enough people in where they will have 2/3 of a vote to make any amendment that you want to the Constitution, then stuff will change. We can't. We're complaining, but we got to do something about it. So here's the thing.
But here's the thing, though, Corinna.
Biden doesn't win, Farajii. He has 0 to lose.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Hold on. You saying? But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, and I got to take a pause. But here's the thing. It's up to look. If we put people in and they are bad actors, and these are folks that just don't deserve to be in a position of power and influence, then guess what? Then their colleagues, the systems that they're a part of, are supposed to kind of like push them out, right? Okay, we put them in, okay, out of ignorance. People that voted for Santos believed him. Now he shows up a liar, boom, that's one thing. But I'm just saying, overall, if we put people in, and we shouldn't have to wait 2 years. If their behavior, if their business, if anything that they do is in direct violation to the law or to our values, then it is the checks and balance of those people, their colleagues, to say, you know what? You got to go, bro. You got to go. Because the American people, what other recourse do we have?
Now he's going to stay there. And that's
what other recourse do we have? What other recourse that we have other than voting? We can't, if let me tell you, if voters can get people out quicker before the end of their term, I bet you more people would take advantage of that opportunity.
We missed quite a few opportunities just the last election cycle.
Yeah.
Because people didn't show up. So,
I got you. I got to take a quick pause. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, more conversation with my sister Corinna. Want to hear from you. Plus, let's talk about bringing reality into TV and so much more. Stay with us. It's getting hot right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, with my sparring partner, Corinna Denise.
We're sparring. But hey, that's why we have this space, right?
Hey, that's why we have the platform. Look. No, I think that what both of us are saying, as we talk about this issue, right, of getting people out to vote. I mean, we're talking about black folks in the state of Wisconsin. They're feeling less apathetic. They're not enthusiastic about what they're seeing from the president and the vice president. Very, very real concerns. And I don't think that if you all saw the CNN report, that if that none of those folks that were highlighted in that report come across as being uninformed, uncaring, or not willing to put in the work. Matter of fact, they are putting in the work. They're calling for people to get involved, and they're feeling less enthusiastic. Look, I've been in that space as a social justice organizer, community activist. I've been in that space where you're calling people to make a change, but then you as the organizer yourself, and I'm sure some of you in the chat may be feeling this, you as the organizer yourself, you are kind of uncertain about if that change is coming. Right? But you're calling people because at the end of the day, you do want people to get involved. So to your point, I think that's important. But I don't think it bodes well for black folks to go against other black folks about fighting about who is voting and not voting, considering this fact that the system right now is being stretched to the limits in terms of democracy, decorum, being able to really honor those who speak truth to power. The system is right now. We are seeing we are in a very, like you again going back to what you said, in a very stressful moment right now. It's stressful, and black people are put into a situation. Once again, we're backed into a corner where we're going to have to make decisions that may be against our own interests and values. And that's not fair for us. That's all I'm saying, Corinna. It's not fair that you put us in this position that you want us to come out and vote, and then at the same time you're doing all this other stuff for everybody else. And then when it comes to us, I'm going back to what Black Political Perspective was saying. We got to have studies and hearings and bills, but then there's no real money. There's no, and then, you want, hey man, but we are doing something for y'all. Once y'all be surrogates, once y'all, tout what we're doing. And it's like, at the same time, and this is not about the president. I'm just saying in general, black folks have not had a very healthy relationship with political leadership in this country.
I understand these folks are involved, but, I still raise questions. What are all resources where they're getting information? And I'm not trying to diminish. There's a lot of things that I wanted out of our current administration that we have yet to attain. We all do. I'm not saying that hasn't happened, but would you rather have the opposition? We saw what was happening in the House just recently, where they voted out Kevin McCarthy, and we went without the Speaker of the House for days. For days. Do people understand the Speaker of the House is the third person in line for the presidency? That's the line of succession. It held up legislation from being passed, all kind of things. It kind of just a domino effect. And because we are not civically inclined to know that, people are kind of just going about their day. I didn't really see a lot of outrage about that though. But we're laser focused on the Democrats. Not to say we're not supposed to be, but if we're going to be laser focused, we should be analyzing government as a whole on both sides, what both parties are passing as far as legislation. Yes, rhetoric is important. But you know what, Farajii, I'm just going to be real. If you hire someone, to motivate you to vote for your citizenship, to vote for your very humanity, then I'm sorry, sweetheart, you are lost.
No. That's not why folks are voting. No, I disagree with you on that. I disagree with you on that. We're not voting to win a no.
You need to be motivated by a politician to get you to
no. Let's put this in a proper. Here's my caveat to that. You're not being motivated to have a better future. You're being motivated to trust that individual to usher in a better future. You're being motivated to believe that person that's standing in front of you who's laying out this vision. So you trust their leadership, you trust their vision, you trust them as a person with their character and with their values and morals, that they're going to guide us, they're going to take us closer to that better place. So it's about trusting the person. That person is, and I'm just saying, this might be a whole conversation about politics in general, but we're talking about representation. That's the person, right? We are looking for a person to be a representative, which means they reflect who we are in creating a better future for all of us. That's who you're voting for. You're not voting for the better future. You're voting for the person.
Farajii, ideally, we would like to have that. But honestly, for me, I'm looking at it as a means to an end. A tool, an avenue. A way to attain the goal. And guess what? I put you there hoping, based on your rhetoric, the rhetoric we all desire and need to hear, because that keeps being brought up in the conversation, that's what you're going to do. Now, once you are in there and you're not doing it, then I got to reevaluate. I'm going to stay on you and keep pushing you to do it. And if you don't want to do it, guess what? I need to remove you. But see, we don't follow up by removing the folks who are getting in our very way. We're not doing the math to know that we have to have certain numbers in the legislative body, in the House, And I always talk about this. The House Democrats passed voting rights, they passed the George Floyd Act. It died in the Senate because we have people in the Senate blocking the filibuster to change the rules. No one was thinking, do we need to give them some superpowers so we can get what we need to get? We haven't exhausted everything to attempt to achieve what we want. And we already want to back away from the battlefield. That's what I'm talking about.
Because I think so, and I'm to your point. I think you're right. But again, I think culturally, and I got to take another pause. But I think culturally, we need to have a different conversation to temper expectations. Culturally, we have all been conditioned to believe that government is going to be the end all be all of our human existence, right?
I disagree with all, Farajii. I don't think all of us have been conditioned. I think there are different things that influence our perception, and there are missing pieces to us as far as education is concerned, why we come and we form those opinions. That's why I raised the questions earlier. Where are you getting your facts and what's shaping your view?
But here's the thing, and we take a pause. Here's the thing. Every major gain that Black people have made, the gain has been institutionalized by government. Right? Whether it's talking about schooling with education, whether it's talking about voting, whether it's talking about economics, whether it's talking about health, like all of this stuff, it's always circled back to government. It's always circled back to the waiting and expecting and hoping for government to make our lives better. That's why I was saying that, we have all kind of been conditioned to look to government as this paternal and maternal figure in our lives. And it's a major shift that when government can no longer can no longer speak to your interests and values, when the government essentially tells you, I can't do nothing about it. When the government essentially makes you feel like, hey man, you're gonna have to get in line with the rest of them because
who's telling us they can't do nothing about it? It's not like they have to stay there.
I'm talking about the action. At this point, look, we can keep going back and forth about what people have said. The only thing that we know for sure is what they do.
That's very true.
And at this point, if the government don't do what it say it's going to do, then guess what? How we're going to respond? We're going to have to respond in kind and look at that as the metric. I can't go. I can't respond.
You're fired. Get the hell on. And we put somebody in there who is willing to do it.
And unfortunately, politics has become like Hollywood, is that you can have the right message, you can have the right look, you can have the right shoes to wear. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Converses or something else. But at the end of the day, I can only make a judgment about what you do as it relates to what you say. If those two things ain't consistent, and what you do is more against who I am and what I stand for and what I believe and where I want to go.
Are not looking at what you do, which means the legislation that is actually being passed. We're only watching mainstream media, and a lot of us are getting misinformation from social media. That's what
I agree. Kathleen, you said, Farajii, you're grossly overstating about all of us feeling the same way you think. I hope not. I mean, I could be wrong. And Kathleen, guess what? I'm wrong. Okay, I could be wrong. I have no problems in thinking that, right? And I'm not trying to grossly misunderstand or overstate, but I'm just letting, and this is to Corinna's point, there is a justification for why people may not be enthusiastic about getting involved. That's all I'm making a point of. I don't want us to get into a space where we're, as Black folks, we got enough on our plate that we don't need to be beating up each other because we're not involved in a system that really never had our full interest at heart. We beating up with each other about this, you know what I'm saying? And I don't like that personally. So it's like, all right, if we're in two different spaces on it, so okay, that's understandable. But we can't be so far. There's so much,
pointing the finger. I want to
pointing the finger at each other when we both suffer. We both got oppression on our neck, right? But we both talking about, man, all we got to do. I'm just saying that there are people in this country, Black folks in this country, who are just tired, man. We all are tired.
We all are tired.
Man, nobody want to keep doing this shit, man, all the time, every 4 years, every 2 years. You hoping, praying, waiting
when
on
we
this
decide
person.
to vote our numbers
Man,
and
nobody want to do
do a
this.
hostile takeover of the Democratic Party, we won't
Yeah,
be
man, I'm
having
telling you. Hey, Corinna. Hey, we're going to roll up on the DNC and during their convention one year and be like, yo, enough is enough, dog. Hey, yo, come off the stage. Come here. Look, I got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Let's talk a little bit about TV and reality. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Let me shift gears here and talk to my sister, Corinna Denise. Because Corinna will have me on this joint all day going into Roland's show.
Whew.
But I love it. I love it. Who said it best? Let me see. Who was my brother? He said it best. He said, this is the debate that we need to have. Yep. And I'm always happy to have the conversation with my sister and anybody. King, you said this is actually the debate black people should have. Get on one accord and talk the same. Do what you say or leave. That's the point we at. That's the point we at. But we gotta have this conversation.
But how do they leave? How do they leave? Because they're not going to just be like, you know what? I'm old now. I'm going to leave. That's why people not old people in Congress. You got to fire them. Fire them. I mean, I'm a very logical thinker, so it seems so simple to me.
I'm not. You know what? This is a Corinna. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like to think that I was logical, but I'm not. And I'm not. And no, I'm not saying that I don't. I'm just saying it's okay to be emotional about this because at the end of the day, man, you talking about generations of this. Like, if you aren't upset, if you aren't passionate about this stuff, if it's just like nuts and bolts for you, if it's just like, oh, just cold logic, I would question you. At some point,
to the point that
at some point, when do we get upset? When do we be like, you know what, man, enough with the effery?
You know
like,
what?
when do we really get upset?
I don't think enough of us are pissed off. And something funny. Pastor Damon in the chat said that I'm misbehaving.
Pastor Davis.
I'm just a little passionate, but I didn't mean to misbehave.
Blame Farajii, y'all. Hey, yo, blame me, y'all. Just blame me. Look, I don't mind it. I think passion is good, and I hate for this is black folks talking to black folks about black folks' business. When have y'all had a family conversation and everybody is sitting around the table and we just
Yeah,
what would you like to say, right? Y'all, hey, Corinna, we be blowing up at a game of spades. Like, no, man, no. I got my book, man. I ain't time.
We sure do. Yeah.
Over spades, man. Over spades. Don't let there be no dominoes. Somebody be like, dominoes smacking the table and all that, man. Like, all right, let's talk about reality versus in TV. Here's the situation. Quinta Brunson, who is the writer and she stars in her show. She's the creator, writer, and star of her show, Abbott Elementary. And I found this to be interesting, and I wanted to get your take on this because you do work in education. But she has been, for the past couple of years, as we have been seeing this increase in mass shootings, especially in the school space, a
Mhm.
very serious thing that people have been asking Quentin to actually write an episode to speak to that issue, to highlight that issue of school shootings. She was saying this in an interview for Glamour Magazine's Woman of the Year cover. She explained, let's post that first quote very quickly, Lise. Thank you. She explained that her reasoning stems from her perspective because she said she's not going to write a show, do an episode about it, but she said her reasoning stems from her perspective that there's two realities of the classroom. One, where teachers are just trying to make it through the specific day-to-day challenges, and one where the general public views the broader challenges like school shootings that affect the educational system at large through the news. And I'm wondering, from your vantage point as one who's been in the classroom, one who's been in the education space, how close do we want the reality to be involved in our fiction? Right? Like, it's one thing to talk about schools and the trials of and the funny moments and the up and down moments of being a teacher. But once you start to bring in, and this is supposed to be TV, this is supposed to be quote unquote entertainment.
Mhm.
Now we want to bring in a school shooting, something that I think this country hasn't had a very extensive conversation about. We want to bring that into the entertainment space. Quanta Brinson, when she was first asked about this like a couple of years ago, she said that people are using entertainment as a cop out, that what they can't demand to politicians, they now demand on Hollywood.
Mm.
What's your take? What's your take on this idea, Corinna?
That's an interesting take, that what, we can't get out of the politicians now is being demanded of Hollywood. But it just makes me think, or raise the question, why is there such an urgency or a push that they would want Quinta to incorporate this into her show, Abbott Elementary? I mean, it's a comedy. It is depicting teacher life, right? What the day-to-day transitions look like in that school and in that particular neighborhood. But, I wonder what would be the end goal. Do these folks feel that if it was depicted on TV in such a popular show, with someone as, well known as Quinta Brunson, would that actually influence any change to our gun legislation or put any pressure on our legislators? I think not. I'm not saying that we shouldn't depict it, but I think a lot of our reality is already depicted, right? In TV, movies, entertainment. We've all heard the saying that art depicts reality.
Mhm.
I'm a big Marvel fan. I almost think like what happened in Avengers with Thanos wanting to eliminate half of the planet, like that's some sick reality or some deep real life, and they just put it into another concept, right? So who's to say? We just got to figure out who those people really are. But I guess her hesitation too would probably be, the backlash of it. I would imagine there's
Yeah.
so many moving parts behind the scenes that if we were to go there, that would be emotional. How would kids be affected, right? Because we have to realize too that they're also a part of that audience. I would imagine when Abbott Elementary comes on. So what would that look like for them? A lot of them are already engaging in active shooter drills. I've been through quite a few. So I think all of that to take into consideration. But yeah, maybe Hollywood is the next outlet. I'm not sure what I really lean on that, but it's just, I think a lot of emotions are involved and people are kind of walking on eggshells about it.
Oh, absolutely. I want to just very quickly pull up this quote that from the Atlantic, where there was a story about this called "We've Lost the Plot," how there's a constant need for entertainment, how the constant need for entertainment had blurred the line between fiction and reality on television, in American politics, and in our everyday lives. This was written by Megan Garber for The Atlantic. And here's what she had to say about this blurred space that we find ourselves in, both in life and what's coming out of Hollywood. Take a look at this, y'all. She said, "I don't want to question the value." Let's go to the next one. Should say, "I don't want to quote." There we go. Thank you. "I don't want to question the value of entertainment itself. That would be foolish and, in my case, deeply hypocritical. But I do want to question the hold that all of the immersive amusement is gaining over my life and maybe yours. Dwell in this environment long enough, and it becomes difficult to process the facts of the world through anything except entertainment. We've become so accustomed to its heightened atmosphere that the plain old real version of things starts to seem dull by comparison. We always want to be entertained, even when it comes to our tragedies. And I think this is a very telling about where we are in our culture, that we want to be entertained, that we want to have a situation like a school shooting and we want to play it out on Hollywood and use that as the guidelines. And that's, I think it's an indictment against government. It's an indictment against law enforcement, because we have over 500, nearly 600 mass shootings, but I don't know the latest numbers about school shootings, but they have not.
Anyways,
they say it again.
We're losing count.
We're losing count, but here's the thing. After all of these shootings, they haven't told us we haven't processed these shootings as a collective.
Yeah.
When that shooting happened down in Uvalde with those 19 children and 2 staff members, 21 people were shot and killed. We talked about it from getting the suspect, but have we really taken time to process that in terms of healing from that, or having discussions, mass discussions about that? Like, we have school shootings, and then maybe 2 days later, we're talking about going back to school. Whether it's at a Uvalde, whether it's at Morgan, whether it's at wherever, we have these tragedies, and then like days later, we're like, well, we've beaten them because we are back to business. And it's like,
we just move
now
on.
we want Hollywood to give us an answer. I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's one of those cultural notes that I want us to kind of keep our minds in, because back to what Megan Garber said, and we are having a much harder time to process the facts of the world except through the lens of entertainment. And that is why our political system is in the place that we're in, right? We want to be entertained politically. We want to be entertained with police. And I will never forget when somebody said this, and we're going to take a pause. Before there was all of this talk about capturing police on camera, the first show that America was introduced, one of the first shows that created the genre, was Cops. Y'all remember Cops?
Yeah.
Right? We used to tune into Cops and even make jokes when black men would be running and police would throw them on the ground and do all of this stuff and beat them up, and they, get rough with them.
I wonder why they would want to come up with a show like Cops in the first place.
It was Cops. And y'all remember, right? That was seen as entertainment. The humanity of any of those people that appeared on Cops was never fully considered.
Nope.
We got a problem. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, more conversation. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Let me bring my sister Corinna Denise back into it. All right, Corinna, here's one more other, as we close out the show. I thought about this and I came across this. I know you don't have children yet,
Nice.
but if you plan on having children, this is something that you're gonna have to consider. There is a restaurant in the state of Georgia that is under some scrutiny because they have added a surcharge to those parents' bill if their children are too loud in their establishment. This happened to a couple of families who went out. There was like three families that went out together. There was like all of these adults, but there was like 11 children. It was a lot of it was a lot of children, right? And the children, being children. And the restaurant gave these families a bill, and this is in the state of Georgia. They gave these families a bill, and they literally added like a $50 surcharge to each family because of their children. Now, the idea here is that if there's a surcharge, this is coming from the Griot. This is what one writer said from the Griot about this idea of a surcharge. The central idea, let's look at quote one, please, Lise. It says the central idea is that parents should be punished and fined for being unable to parent, which in this context means being unable to force children to sit still and be quiet on command. In this mindset, parents are expected to restrain kids the same way dog owners are expected to restrain dogs. In the real world, parents do not control children. Let me stop here. Hold on. Let's stop here. All right, let me get back to me. Let me get back. As a parent of two, as a parent of two.
I'm sorry. Look, all right. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking about my 4-year-old. My daughter, I can't make my daughter do anything. Can't make her do anything. You got the terrible twos. You got I don't know what they call the threes, probably the crazy threes. And then you got the what the F's fours.
They ask a lot of questions.
No, they don't ask a lot of questions.
Threes?
They tell you what.
But why?
Yeah, the threes, they ask a lot of questions. By the time you get the fours, it's the FU fours. Like you tell them something, I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. My daughter would literally tell me that. I was like, what you say? It's just like, I'm not putting on my clothes. And I'm just, and what about, can you please put on your clothes? So to have a restaurant to talk about charging a parents $50 or whatever little surcharge they come up with because their children are loud or their children are deemed, quote unquote, to be unruly, it's absolutely insane. But this one restaurant, I think it's called Toulouse. Let me make sure that if y'all down in Georgia, let me see if I can find this restaurant. But I want to get your take on this, though, Corinna, because this is crazy that you charge parents because they don't have control over another human being.
It's so funny because I was driving into the office the other day and I was listening to this same story, the Ricky Smiley morning show. They were having a lot of fun with it. But I don't agree with the surcharge. And then I just think like, okay, so you give me this surcharge, like what if I don't pay the bill, right? What's the consequence? I'd probably be one of those people like, well, call the police then. But at the same time, I know things have changed. I know my mom probably would have just had to give me a look and I would have just straightened up than be running all around the place. And I think parents have to consider, I guess, where they go. Like you don't want kids to be running around. But I don't know if maybe with this owner was happening too much, why he decided to put a surcharge, even though I don't agree with it. But I wonder why he decided to do that, or if it's just a money-making thing that, for him to just add this surcharge because of children being there. But yeah, I mean, to your point, there are certain things that you can't control with children. I don't have children of my own yet, but I have helped raise a few. I've worked in daycare, so I've definitely worked with the toddlers and the terrible twos and the Y3s. Haven't experienced the FU4s too much, Farajii. But, I just think sometimes you have to give kids a choice. Like, for example, hey, do you want to do your homework at the kitchen table or at your desk in your room? Either way, I'll give you a choice for that, but you're going to sit here and do this homework. But yeah, this surcharge is, but it just, I don't know if it determines whether or not you're a good parent, but I mean, it does raise some questions.
And people do, no, here's what it is. This is, and for all of the parents that have young children, I ain't talking about, I know Pastor Damon, your son is 18, so you ain't gotta, you probably went through this. But people act as if that if your children is loud or they're running around, right? People automatically assume that you're not a good parent. This is a cultural thing. This ain't nothing about laws. This is about culture. Like people be like, oh my God, the children. You don't know what is going on. You don't know how that parent's day has been, right?
Yeah.
Now if they're not abusing the child, that's one thing. But if you get into a place, and I'm going to be honest with you, I hate going into places and people looking at you all funny. They look at your children and stuff, and they be like, they trying to assess whether they should be moving out. Say it again.
Looking to see how your kid's gonna behave.
They're gonna and look, and my children aren't bad children at all. So when they sit down and they talk and they play, and then you get the people coming over from other tables. Can I just say something? I'll be like, oh my God, here we go. I just want to say your children are so well behaved. You're doing a great job. Yeah, and at night I give them kibbles and water.
Oh my God. Yeah, so it's
you know what I'm saying? Like, if my son was wilding out.
Oh my goodness.
And look, don't let it be. Hey, look, if when I go out with my children by myself, right? They really looking at me. I feel the energy of the eyes, Corinna. They looking at me, right? They looking at me and they be like, I wonder what kind of father, what kind of father is he going to be today? And they looking at you, and then if my son is acting cool and my daughter's acting cool, they give me that look of approval, like. But let my son be running around. Let my daughter be. People be like this. Yeah. See, this is this is why we can't have black fathers.
Kids are gonna be kids, Most situations you can control, some maybe not. So it really just depends. I don't think that's always a reflection on bad parenting. To your point, you don't know what's happening that day. And parents are not their child's only influence, unfortunately. So they're going to see and mimic other things and other behaviors that aren't necessarily being done by the parent. So you can't just blame the parent for everything. But you know what? Lisa made a good point. She put in the chat, just make it an adult-only establishment. Hey, solves your problem instead of having to battle for the surcharge, because people will resist, sir. I don't think you're going to always get that out of them.
No, I mean, why? If people are paying for the surcharge, then as a business owner, that's more money for them, right? And I get it. You establish, like, if you go into a fine dining restaurant, you don't always take your children, unless your children. Unless a lot of and again, this is in Georgia, and at least look up very quickly if we can the name of the restaurant. It should be a part of this article. I think it's from the Griot. But unless it specifically says no children, but I have yet to go to a restaurant that says that you cannot bring children under the age of, say, 12 or something. I have yet to go to any restaurant like that. There's always an assumption that if it's a fine dining restaurant, you're not going to bring your children. But guess what? Do y'all know how much childcare is?
Your life.
You know what I'm saying? That's a car payment for one night.
It's very expensive.
It's a car payment. And some of us will be like, oh man, well, we just doing it. Okay, it's called Toccoa. What's that? Toccoa Riverside Restaurant. Toccoa Riverside Restaurant in Georgia. I'm putting this restaurant on blast because I don't want none of y'all going there with your children. Toccoa Riverside Restaurant in Georgia. You charging people for a surcharge for having children.
Wait, is it charging a surcharge for bringing your kid into the establishment?
Charging a surcharge. Look at it. They're going to bring up something. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Toccoa Riverside Restaurant in Georgia. Y'all should be a damn shame for charging people extra for loud children. Please.
What's their review?
Please.
I wonder if they have really good. Is the food really good? Is it worth it? Like,
I don't know. But let me tell you who would not pay $50.
Oh yeah, no, not I.
Not me. I'll be like, man, y'all can go straight to hell with that.
That's a tank of gas. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be like, please. I'm about to walk up out this place with my children.
Pay for a meal.
Davy Floater, you said that's a terrible name. ABX girl, you said there are places in the Northeast that do ban children. In New York City, the restaurants have a field that is not child friendly or allow children in the day only. There it is. Yeah. I'm not feeling that. If you got I'm not feeling that. I don't like that. Because I don't like, if I got a real problem with people that don't like children. Like, I get it. You don't want children, it's all that. But if you have this disdain toward children, I'm looking at you funny. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Not sorry. I'm not sorry.
I agree.
All right. We got to go. I've overtime and everything. My sister, Corinna Denise, my sparring partner on Fridays. Make sure y'all follow her on all social media as what's your social? Ren84?
At Ren_Ren84.
At Ren_Ren at 84. Can we throw her IG up there so she can become uber famous? Because we need to.
At Ren_Ren84.
And look, she said it again, so that we make sure.
Yeah, so I can get the message out about the
at Ren. Hey, look, follow her. Follow me at The Real Farajii on IG, y'all. That's her right there.
They put the whole thing up there. Thank you, guys.
At Ren_Ren84. There it is. Corinna Denise, one of our great culture crew members, educational advocate, college advisor, and activist. Thank you so much for joining me on Friday.
Looking forward to sparring next week, sparring some more.
Let's go, my sister. Let's go. Ding, ding.
Have a great weekend. Peace, crew.
You too. Thank you, Corinna. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank y'all so much, crew, for joining me for not only for today, but for a fantastic week as we had these conversations. Make sure y'all do y'all's due diligence. Support us here at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app. Follow us on all social media. Also, make sure y'all follow me, yours truly, The Real Farajii, on Instagram, at Farajii on Twitter, at Farajii Muhammad on Facebook, and at The Real Farajii on Threads. Would love to connect with y'all there. Also, what else we got? We got a lot of great stuff streaming on our network right now. So if you go to once you go to blackstarnetwork.com, you'll see all of the great things that we have streaming. This is directly either from the White House, directly from the ground, from anything that's happening. Brother Roland got a number of dope specials on everything from the life and legacy of Richard Roundtree to so many other conversations and interviews. So definitely check us out there on the streaming tip, along with our shows, the great programs that we have here. All right, folks, it's 5 here, was 2 here, 2:02, but you may, in about an hour, you can check out Brother Roland on for RMU Rolling Mountain Unfiltered at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure y'all check him out there on this Friday afternoon. I thank each and every one of you, and God willing, I want to, we'll thank my team, my production team of Joel, Shannon, Maddie, Chris, Lisa, and my man King Keenan for making this show possible. But make sure y'all stick around at 6 p.m. to check out Rolling Mountain Unfiltered as always. And remember this, folks, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk on Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. I hope you have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Talk to you soon. Peace.